Today, I'm going to show you how you can level up your AI usage by looking at 8 different AI setups. Level 1 is being on your AI chat interface, so that's claude.ai or chatgpt.com. Essentially here, you're most likely using AI as a search engine and maybe a bit as a thought partner or basic editor. But your job is to get off these two platforms as quickly as possible. While both sites do have a level of custom components that they're building into the interface, these features are all definitely enhanced in different setups. And that brings me to level 2, which is the Claude desktop app. If you've made it here already, that's honestly a great job, as you're already thinking about how AI is embedding itself into your workplace. So chances are, if you've got the Claude desktop app, you're able to start to work with inside of Cowork or even Claude Code to actually start using AI in a more powerful way. That might be through custom artifacts, scheduled workflows, and custom interfaces that you've created to help your business. Now, level 3 is Codex, and I actually think Codex is probably the best bang for your buck if you are trying to dial up the complexity of your AI usage by yourself. The Claude desktop app and Claude Cowork is great while working on teams, but I think Codex has the edge when you're the sole operator. Codex is going to function very similar to all of my Claude Code videos and how you might be using the Claude desktop app. Specifically, you can add plugins, automations, and you can connect with mobile. So what's really great is I think its project setup is really clean, and you can actually add multiple chats inside of each project. So in this case, you can see I've got a project called Countdown here, and it's got 5 different sub-chats. So that essentially lets you run agents in parallel. And while some of this is similar to Claude Code inside of the Claude desktop app, you can work locally or on new work trees and different branches. What that essentially means is you're able to work on the same kind of workspace environment, but in isolated buckets, rather than trying to make changes kind of one by one in order in the same work environment. Level 4 is Cursor. Cursor is an integrated development environment which lets you work with an agent while actually kind of looking at the work it's doing, in this case, the kind of files that it's coding. You're going to interface with the agents through this chat interface. You'll be able to select the agent type as well as different models. And those models can include, GPT 5.5, Opus, Gemini, or Cursor's own Composer. Cursor is also expanding their offerings with an agent window. We were just in the editor window, and in this agent window, it actually looks very similar to Codex, where we've got automations, multiple different repositories, and a similar chat thread to Codex with the ability to work on different work trees. And as always, you're able to open up terminals and run custom commands. And that brings me to level 5. And level 5 is running something like Claude Code or Codex CLI inside of the terminal, inside of Cursor. You could spin up something like Claude Code here, open up a new terminal and run Codex, and you're essentially able to run multiple agents from different providers in the same workspace environment. And this leads me to level 6, which is running either Codex CLI or Claude Code directly in your terminal. So you don't have a custom interface. It's all text-driven development. What's great is this cuts down on all the noise and essentially lets you work with the agent and have your agent do everything. While working with multiple agents is clearly possible with parts of the earlier stack, working with agents in this way in the terminal is going to require you to have a bit more knowledge around basic terminal navigation. It's not that hard to learn, and it's definitely worth it because it's going to increase your speed of how you work with agents, and therefore it's going to increase your output capacity. But I don't think you actually need to run multiple terminals like I just showed you in level 6, because level 7 is using something like CMux to manage all of your terminal sessions. So CMux is a way to kind of efficiently stack those terminals. So we can see on the left pane here, we've essentially got 5 different terminals running, anything from Codex to Claude Code to anything else we might want to have. And you can essentially hotkey, so you never have to touch your mouse, and you can essentially be a power user of all your agents. Just like some of the other platforms we've seen, You can even open up kind of multiple terminals inside of a single workspace. Some of the benefits here are as you complete tasks, CMux will actually highlight the most recent completed task. So you can essentially always be on top of what's next. So in this case here, we can see that the workplaces have actually switched orders and we should come up into this workspace to actually do what's next. CMux is relatively new, but it's open source and improving all the time, but it's a great way for you to use multiple agents at the same time. Finally, we get to level 8, and this is probably my favorite setup at the moment. It's called Conductor, and it's very similar to what CMux is doing, and it's almost a combination of all of the best things that I love of the previous 7 levels. It's primarily agnostic to model usage or harness usage, so you can run Claude Code or Codex without really changing any workflows inside of this. So very similar to how parts of Cursor operate. You do have a pretty good file viewer system, which is something that Codex doesn't do really well at the moment. But you can also manage workspaces and multi-chats inside of each workspace really well, which is something very similar to how Codex does it. Similar to CMux, you've got the ability to quickly hotkey through multiple different setups, and you've always got access to your terminal if you need. You can also set up workflow automations, so every time you open a new project or chat, you can customize automations to help your project get set up just how you need it. But what really tips this into being one of my favorite systems right now is the ability for it to automatically work with GitHub. So you can hotkey PRs directly into it. So in this case, I've just used Command-Shift-P, and it's automatically going to use a PR skill to make the PR. And from there, I am ultimately going to be able to merge it after it has completed a few automatic checks. So we can see it ran several diffs and ultimately it was able to commit and push these changes. And now that the checks are complete, we can actually easily merge this with Command-Shift-M. Once merged, we can just archive the chat and start a new chat for whatever we need to do next. What's great is it automatically creates a new branch, so you're in a clean, contained workspace to continue working on. I'm not expecting you to jump all the way to using Conductor, but if you can get there, I think there's no way you can't be benefiting from AI in a way that 90% of your peers probably aren't. The number one thing you do have to do is stop using AI as a search engine and get off level 1. Make it to level 2 or 3 using Claude Desktop or Codex as quick as possible. From there, moving to level 5 and use Cursor with your harness of choice, Claude Code or Codex CLI, is going to be your next significant upgrade. Beyond that, jumping to level 8 is likely possible, and where you're going to see unbelievable gains in your AI usage.